What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Effin' Nerds podcast. My name is Nick Denizio. Sitting across from me is my man, Martin Moreno.
What's up?
How we doing?
Good.
We're going to jump right into this. Today we are reviewing The King of Staten Island. Just premiered on digital on demand, and we watched it yesterday.
So we did. Part one of our double feature.
Part one of our double feature yesterday, which was really exciting. We hadn't had one in a really long time. And it was kind of the first day to really get excited for new releases.
Yeah.
Which we haven't had since like March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, the last double feature we did was, I believe, way back in Onward.
Yes.
Which was a great double feature.
Great double feature.
Yeah, so.
So kicking it right into it, King of Staten Island. What were some of the things that you really enjoyed about the movie?
Some of the things that I enjoyed about the movie were definitely the performances. I know going into the film, there was a lot of sort of positive word of mouth regarding Bill Burr's performance, regarding Pete Davidson's performance, and I agree. I think they did a great job, especially Bill Burr, because I think the only thing I've seen him act in other than this was The Mandalorian, season 1, episode 6.
Right.
And there were moments in The Mandalorian when I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
But he really did great in the movie, and he pretty much showed off what he could do. Other than that, obviously Marisa Tomei is a fucking stud.
Yeah.
And I was reading something about her last night that she was saying how she's more keen to kind of take these more mom roles. Mm-hmm. And her role in The King of Staten Island, you can make the argument that it's low-key like the heart of the movie, definitely the glue of the movie, what kind of holds everything together. But just, I thought that sort of mom role, so to speak, that she portrayed, I thought she did an amazing job. But to me, the MVP, the standout of the movie was Belle Powley's Kelsey, the character Kelsey. I thought she was incredible. I thought she brought a really lighthearted, sort of fun sense of humor to the screen every time she was on. And I was really taken by her. And something else which is crazy is that she's from England. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, I was listening to some of her interviews last night from just in general. And because I'm not too I think the only other thing that I know her from was White Boy Rick, but I did not like that movie, so I think I just kind of
blocked it out. Yeah,
blocked it out of my head, so I don't really remember her
right.
Her performance that much.
Wait, so she has in her interviews, does she have an accent?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so the fact that she was able to when you listen to her talk and then you watch this movie, the fact that she was able to flip that switch and really embody the sort of Staten Island girl persona,
right.
It's just kudos to her. And just, I think she's going to be a star. I think we're going to see a lot of her moving forward. But other than that, I think some of the interactions that we got in the later on in the movie is also a big standout. Some of the engagement, some of the character interactions. And yeah, those are the things that kind of stood out to me. Nice.
Well, it's funny with Belle Powley, if you've been to Staten Island or you know somebody from Staten Island, you know that she nailed that accent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It was dead on. And I think that's one of the things that I also really enjoyed about this movie is there is a level of authenticity to the whole thing. And I think what they did was there are certain scenes with characters where they actually used real people from Staten Island, not actors that were just in the movie to be a part of it. And that just helps kind of just really build out this whole, it gives you this more, experience of being in Staten Island.
And I think also another, a testament to that also as well is because I believe there's almost a biography, kind of a personal story of Pete Davidson.
Yeah, it's a bit of a loose biography.
So you can kind of add some of that sensitivity to that whole notion.
And that was the other interesting too, because this is, this is obviously from Judd Apatow, and the script was written by Apatow, Pete Davidson, and Dave Cyrus. They all contribute to the script, and this was kind of a thing where they looked at it as if this was this would have been Pete's life had he not gone into comedy. That was kind of the trajectory they were taking with it, is that if he had not found stand-up comedy, where he might have gone or where he might have ended up at at the age of 24. So it was really interesting to look at it.
He is?
I don't know if that's his actual age. I know he's still really young. He got on SNL when he was 18.
Yeah, that I know. That was yes, actually, that might make sense.
Yeah, so that might be age appropriate. But it was interesting to look at it from that aspect. And yeah, I think the biggest thing about this movie is the performances. Like you said with Bill Burr. Bill Burr is great in this movie. He, and I'm a big fan of his stand-up, and he's been in things like Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah, you're a big Bill Burr slut.
Yeah, absolutely. And to see him, it's not a role where he has to be anything more than what he's used to playing, but he just does it so well here, and he brings like a much he actually does bring a lot more, I would say, heart to the movie than I was expecting, like in his performance as well. Like there's a certain level that he, because you're expecting to be like, this over the top and yelling all the time, and he does do that, especially like his first scene with Marisa Tomei.
That's when he comes out swinging.
Yeah. But he's able to really do great work in some more quieter moments, and especially the moments where he starts to bond with Scott, Pete Davidson's character, a little bit more, and it's nice to see. And then obviously just Pete Davidson, I know we talked about him with Big Time Adolescence and how he's kind of playing the same character here, which is true. And I don't know what kind of range he's going to have going forward in certain types of roles, but he plays this very well. And, just knowing that this is a story very personal to him, I bought his role. I bought it more than I did in Big Time Adolescence, and I thought he was fantastic here.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah.
Something else about Bill Burr, he also just brought this sort of like authoritativeness.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the level of authority.
Yeah.
Well, did you see like the story that he told about the first time he met Pete Davidson?
No.
So
was this on Rogan?
It might have been on Rogan. I actually knew that he was on Rogan. I haven't seen it yet, but he's been telling this story going around promoting the movie that this was years ago when he was doing a stand-up show, and then after the show was done, he goes, this woman came up to me, and it was Pete's mom, and he had Pete with him, and I guess he was like in like his he was like a teenager, and he was just saying, he's a big fan, he loves your performance, and he wants to get into stand-up comedy, and it's a good story that he tells about meeting Pete for the first time, and then since then they've kind of stayed connected, and when they wrote this movie, they wrote it with him in mind to play this part.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah. And that mustache is also like a low-key MVP.
Yeah. So with that, the movie's not perfect, and I know we had some criticisms of it. So what were some of the things that did not work for you?
To me, the obvious one, the big complaint is just the film length, which we were discussing this before. I feel like it's a bit of a Judd Apatow issue. For some reasons, his movies go on longer than 2 hours for the most part. This was like 2 hours, I believe it was 2 hours and 17. It was where it was clocked in.
Yeah.
Mind you, that's with the credits and all this other shit. But like a lot of his other movies kind of are just under that ballpark range. I believe they're like all around like 2 hours and like 10 minutes. Unlike Funny People, which is like 2.5 hours. But that movie feels like fucking 3 hours.
Yeah, well, same thing with This Is 40.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This, I thought you were going to say I thought you were going to say same thing with this.
No.
Not same thing with This Is 40.
But I do agree. But, I think you can shave like a good 15 to 20 minutes off of this movie.
Yeah, but yes, it's 40. But also with this, like I felt for me, this movie, even though it was 2017, it felt like a lot longer than that. And I think there was certain things here and there, especially there were some like certain character interactions that were like a little bit weird and awkward, and I think it's because they ran a little too long. I think there are certain times where you can just shave off like a few seconds or a few minutes here and there to really kind of condense the movie a little more. I
would agree.
To give it like a little bit of a better flow. And other than that, it's I love what you just said about how we've seen this sort of performance already in Big Time Adolescence, but not just a performance, but also just that whole sort of character story of, for all intents and purposes, being like a bum and like a slacker,
right?
Which is also like another Apatow trait. When you think of Knocked Up, all of them just like sitting around the couch,
absolutely
not giving a fuck.
Right.
You think of a Trainwreck, her just again not giving a fuck, drinking, fucking smoking pot at like popular at important events.
Yeah.
So that's almost kind of been, I think, like so I think some of like I don't know if we can say cliches, but some of like the things that don't really work well in Apatow films is also apparent here.
Right. Well, no, I would agree with you in just the fact that it's stuff that we've seen before. You know what I mean? Like where for me, like it works in Knocked Up, it gets tired here. You know what I mean? Tired. Like it gets like it's like there's certain moments where I feel like, without getting too into like how the structure of the movie is, there's moments where it's like I've you watch a scene, you see how his character is, and then I feel like you get that same exact scene of like a little bit later into the movie, and then it happens again, and it's like I get it, he's a bum, he's a slacker, let's progress now.
It gets a little exhausting.
It does get a little exhausting,
and it also creates sort of awkward moments, and then it's also moments where he's just trying to be that person, like that character is hitting it at you again, so you're just like. You're like, oh. But and aside from that, the fact that we kind of seen this in Apatow films, we've also seen this not too long ago in Big Time Adolescence. So that whole notion of him with his friends being a bum, not caring, saying stupid shit. Like we literally just saw that.
Right.
Like in about like a month or two ago.
Right.
So the fact that I'm getting something again from Pete Davidson, like a very similar vibe, very similar sort of theme, that I had just gotten not too long ago, that also takes a little bit of the excitement away.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like my big complaints that I've had from the movie.
But yeah, I do agree with you. I think this movie could have benefited from just a little bit more editing. But for whatever reason, that just seems to be Apatow. The other thing I wanted to ask you too was like the structure of the movie is very erratic. Like it doesn't find its focus until maybe about halfway through, like really like settle in and finds focus. Do you think that was supposed to be, maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but was that supposed to be a reflection of Pete Davidson's character in general? Just his unfocusedness just in life? And that's why the movie is somewhat like erratic, like just jumping from thing to thing and
kind of like being all over the place.
Yeah. Like I wonder if that was meant to be kind of a reflection.
And then later on in life, aka later on in the movie, it kind of finds
its way a little bit.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Interesting way to look at it.
If we ever interview Pete Davidson, we'll ask him.
Yeah. And then the other thing I would say about it is that this is me going back to kind of a positive, is the movie gets better as it goes along, and I think that that's kind of important for. Not really important, but it's just like it's with comedies, you know, usually gets lost in the third act. It becomes less funny, and even though I don't consider it to be a comedy, it's more of a drama. I really appreciate how much better it got as it went along, and we can talk about this character, but that's really when Steve Buscemi kind of comes into play.
I believe it's Buscemi.
That's when Steve Buscemi kind of comes into play, and he brings just this level of authenticity with him having him been a firefighter, and you know, hearing him talk about being a firefighter. It just feels more real and it feels more natural, and like I said, like it has a way more authenticity to it. And when you know Pete's character really starts interacting with the firefighters, that's where the movie really shines.
Are we kind of going into a little bit more depth now with the film?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're just gonna go into a little more, not crazy spoiler talk, but we're going to go into a little bit more depth. Just to add to that, Steve Buscemi's history with Michael Bay, all those explosions.
Yes.
Probably also adds a little bit of
authenticity to it. Yeah, probably. But yeah, so he, you know, when Pete finally goes to the firehouse and he starts interacting with everybody, you know, that's really where the movie shines, and that's where I thought like this is what the movie should have gotten to sooner and been more about.
I 100% agree.
But it's still great, and like the third act of the movie is the strongest of, you know, the whole film, I think. You know, and yeah.
But it's like what you were saying, how comedies sometimes lose their way towards the third act. Like in my opinion, I don't think comedy should be more than 2 hours. When you think of some of the greatest comedy, like you think of The Hangover, for example, that one comes to mind. That's like an hour 45,
right? Like
right around there. So that's kind of like what we're saying. Like when you have a history of making these sort of when you have a sort of history of being a comedic director, and you're making constant like 2+ hour comedies, like maybe that's, you know, like come on, like you gotta.
Well, that's the thing too, is that like, you know, this is more of a dramedy than it is a comedy.
I agree,
but. You know, to your point though, it's like if you're going to have the runtime go that long, make sure that it's not filled with repetitiveness, because this movie has a lot of repetitiveness to it.
And we're not saying that a 2 hour comedy can't work.
Right.
I mean, it definitely could work, but we're just, you know, pretty much just
You just got to make sure the story, you know, fits it. You know?
Exactly. And yeah, I agree. I agree with you. That was like my kind of issues going on. Like for example, even though like the discussion that he has with his sister in her room before she leaves, even though that's like a nice touching moment, it's like you could have just ended that like half, like you could have cut that discussion in half.
I agree.
Another one, like the jail scene when he goes to visit his buddy in jail, not to talk about what happens, but like something happens in that scene that results like in a good laugh, like in a fun moment. But again, like maybe these are things that you can do in like the special features as deleted scenes, you know, that we can go watch and enjoy. But like that's also like another thing, that there's just certain certain interactions between the characters that just run off like too long, that could have just been shaved down either a few seconds or a couple minutes, to kind of get to that point in the firehouse a lot sooner.
Right.
Because that once you're there, that's really where the movie works. That camaraderie, that partnership, that sort of like kind of uplifting, lighthearted moments and everything that happens in between.
all that bonding that they have and everything.
Right, like that's I wish it was more of that.
Yeah,
because that's where like you were saying, that's where the film really succeeds, and that's really where, that's what I took from the film the most. Like when I think about it, I just think of that like third act. And I just wish leading up to it could have been done a little better.
But I would say that it's better that it was that way and not the other way around.
Yeah.
That started off good and then got progressively worse.
Yeah.
You know, it's always like, to me, like,
Pick your poison.
I'll always give a movie a pass if it nails its ending. You know what I mean? Like, I'll always forgive some of its faults.
1,000% agree with
if it's able to nail its ending, and I think that this movie nailed its ending. And also, I will give this movie a good score just because it features 2 Kid Cudi songs.
It starts off with a Kid Cudi and it ends with
the Kid Cudi song.
Yeah.
And Pete, being a big Kid Cudi fan, you kind of knew that was going to happen, but it was just awesome to see.
And a good choice of Kid Cudi songs too. Like
Just What I Am starts it off.
Which for maybe it's just me, but I feel like Just What I Am is one of those songs that. Well, this is like I have this feeling in Chris. I talk about Chris a lot on the show. One day you guys will meet Chris. Yeah. That is my dude. That is my main guy. That's my homie. Like I remember when we were talking, like he has like that song takes him to like a certain spot in his mind, like it's like a memory.
Yeah.
And that's how I am too with that song. Like whenever I hear that song, I remember of like a certain time in like my life.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if you're like that.
I'm 100% like
that. So I think like that song, like the song choices, the 2 Kid Cudi song choices were really good choices because you start off and you're like immediately, we can't speak for everyone.
Right.
But like us personally, like I'm immediately like I get taken back to a point in my life and I'm like, okay. Right. And you automatically becomes a little more relatable, a little more personal. So you get hooked.
Yeah.
But then it kind of loses course, but then it comes back.
Yes,
it gets back. But yeah,
and especially when they end it with Pursuit, like I just got it just gave me like chills just because like hearing that song and knowing like that I grew up with that first album, Man the Moon, which is where it came from, and it was great. And then another thing about authenticity too, you told me an interesting thing yesterday about how Marisa Tomei reminds you of somebody.
Of my mom. Yeah. And I don't know why. Like I want to watch this with my brother and my sister to see if they feel the same way, but I don't know. Like every single time from the beginning from the moment she first came on screen, like I just kept thinking of my mom. And then the final scene, because she plays a nurse.
Right.
And there's a moment when they're in the hospital and she comes around the corner in her scrubs, and I was like, oh my God, like. This is like
right
at that was like the tipping point. I literally wanted to just call my mom and be like, hey mom, like I love you. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it reminded you of your mom at all, but for some reason it was just like it really like worked with me.
Well, and it's also too just because Marisa Tomei she's such a veteran at this point.
Yeah,
like so when she just comes in, you just know she's gonna crush whatever role she's doing.
And she was amazing.
Yeah, she was amazing.
We can't get enough of Aunt May.
Yeah. So, if you have nothing else to say, how would you rate it?
How would I score it?
Yeah.
Well, when we finished up, because you know me, I don't look at Rotten Tomato scores.
Yeah.
I know me. I know that if I know a score, I'm going to be a little influenced by it, and I'm going to go into the movie looking for why it's good or why it's bad, and I'm not going to be able to like enjoy the movie. So I try to like stay clear of that. So we looked. After the movie was done, it was at 69%. Nice. And I think to me that sounds right. 6.9. I agree with that. I had some time to reflect on it and really think about it, and I think for me that's really where 6.9 is a good spot for me.
Yeah, it was at 69%. I think the audience score keeps going up. The audience seems like they're really enjoying it. I think it's at like a 91%.
Yeah, which I understand why we were saying.
I think it's just because people are connecting with it on a personal level. Like I've seen some people talk about it.
That's a beauty film. Yeah, it's subjective. Like for me, I was just thinking about Marisa Tomei. Like I'm like, why is this hitting me so hard? Well, I don't know, but yeah, it's great. Yeah,
and I'm in a similar ballpark. I'm going 7.4. I think if it was tighter, if its editing was a little bit more in check, I think it would have been a lot higher for me.
I kind of want to see who Judd Apatow's editor is, and if he's worked with or she, if they've worked together on multiple films. Because I feel like it's like the same issues.
Like I almost want to take this movie and mess with it myself and just see how I can maybe make it a little bit tighter and what I can knock out of it. But yeah, it's you watch it for its performances. It does have some really funny moments, but it's not you don't go into it expecting a lot of laughs because it's not. But then again, like it's going back to that third act. That's where the heart really comes out, and you see what the movie is really trying to say.
And that third act is more drama than
it is,
comedy.
and there is more drama, but it's just so well done, and it's very watchable. And then going back to the performances, like with Pete Davidson, like I don't know what kind of range he's going to have, but he's just he has this very likable presence, and you're just rooting for the guy.
Which is why I love that because I was thinking the exact same thing. I also think, like we were saying before, we're seeing a similar character being portrayed here, even though it's like a better version of that character. It's still like almost the same character,
right?
So I like we said, we don't know what he's going to do in future projects. We don't know what range he has, but I hope it's not going to be the same thing over and over and over again. It's obviously way too soon to tell.
Right.
We only have 2 kind of sample sizes to go off of. But yeah, like I'm excited to see what he's going to do next.
Agree.
And there's one quick thing I want to say.
Okay.
Fucking Judd Apatow's daughter.
Yeah.
It's kind of, okay, this may sound so weird, but we kind of like in a way grew up with her.
Well, she was like a little kid and knocked up.
Yeah. Like both his daughters.
Right.
And then we saw her again in Funny People, like singing fucking Cats.
Right.
Like, you didn't even cry when Mabel sang Cats. So then when she comes in, I'm like, wait, is that her?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Right.
Like,
it's like you just didn't expect it. Like,
no,
I was like,
I didn't.
Oh my God.
I had no idea she was in it.
Right.
Obviously, I probably should have known because
and she was good too.
She was good.
She was really
good for her. She's kind of coming into her own.
Right.
So
I like to see her
her
get some more roles as well, other than being in her dad's movies.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she will.
Yeah.
But that whole thing was just like a little like whole. It's almost like kind of like a just growing up with someone,
and also like a wow, I'm old moment.
What?
Almost just like a wow, like I'm getting old kind of moment.
That's
you know what I mean?
like holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like he's just 24. Like he's 24.
Yeah.
We're not gonna say how old we are, people, but we're just saying. But yeah, overall, good movie.
Solid movie. Thank you guys for watching. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube page. Check us out on Twitter, on Instagram, on Spotify, on Anchor, Apple Playlists, Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, and I know everything's closed right now, but if you, for example, go out for like a nice walk for like an hour or two, just hit play. And just maybe give it like 1 or 2 plays.
Right.
You know.
Just put it on loop for a little bit.
Yeah, puts like a nice 3 cents in our pocket, you know. 5 of those plays, that's like a stick of bazooka gum. So,
Right.
You know, goes a long way.
A stick of bazooka gum in like the 1920s.
Okay, bro. I have clear memories of going to the bodega and getting like when I was younger. But like we were talking about, we're getting old, so you're probably right,
So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Later.